What's up guys? Today we're going to be discussing the Galaxy Note 9 versus the Note 10 Plus versus the Note 20 Ultra versus the new S22 Ultra, which again is technically a Note. And we're going to be talking about the essential differences. So just in case you want to pick one of these phones up or you want to upgrade. So let's go ahead and just talk about the differences because I've been playing with these phones for a minute here. And I've really been enjoying this Note series. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's start off with the designs of these phones. They're all premium and glass and metal designs. They all look really good. The Note 9, I guess, would be like the kind of like a little bit outdated as far as the back design. You can see it's kind of showing its age when you compare it to, you know, the other phones. I think the Note 10 Plus still has the best design here actually. And a lot of people when they see this phone, they get mesmerized by like the colors on here. Is there a really cool looking design that I think Samsung needs to bring back? And honestly, the Note 10 Plus looks exactly like the other phones if you want to keep it you know, real here, especially from the front, and I think it still looks pretty good from the back. Now the S22 Ultra and the Note 20 Ultra, they have, I guess, more modern designs. These are designs that you would see normally, especially the Note 20 Ultra with the little camera bump. I think Samsung knocked it out of the park with the S22 Ultra. It just looks absolutely great with no camera bump, matte finish, extremely clean, doesn't pick up fingerprints. I think they did a good job with all of the designs on these phones, which is really awesome here. So I want to talk about some a little differences here. Now, again, all of them have IP60, not IP68, but they all have IP ratings on here, so you can get them all wet, no problem. One of the things that I kind of noticed with these phones is that the stylus is on the right hand side on the Note 9 and Note 10 Plus, and they moved it with the Note 20 and the S22 to the left hand side, which was kind of weird, so, but you can get used to it pretty easily. And there is one essential difference. If you want a phone with a headphone jack, the Galaxy Note 9 is actually the only phone here with a headphone jack. So if you're a die-hard, you know, wired user, definitely that is a benefit. Now, the thing about the newest S22 Ultra is that it lacks SD card support, and all the rest of these phones actually have SD card support, so you get that expandable storage. Now, Samsung did something really awkward. So the Note 10 Plus, the base model, this was a 256 12 gig model, and then they just kind of just went down from there. So the S22 Ultra, it's a 128 gig 8 gig model. And I think that's, you know, completely unacceptable for a phone that costs $1,200. Now, speaking of the prices, you can pick the Note 9 up, which I think is still one of the best phones with a built-in stylus at this price point. You can argue Motorola's phone, but I think you get more money for, I think you get more features for what you're paying for here. The Note 9 you can find easily $236. I'll put that link down below. The Note 10 Plus is pretty cheap at around $400. And then the Note 20 Ultra is still kind of expensive, around $800, because it's the more modern, you know, the last true Note phone, I guess, with expandable storage, which a lot of people like. And then the S22 Ultra is going to cost you, you know, $1,200. So it's a very expensive phone, especially if you don't have any other devices to do a trade-in with. Let's talk about the displays here, because I think this is pretty important as well too. So as you can see, the Note 9 has a little bit chunkier bezels, and it still looks good, but one of the benefits with the Note 9's display is actually that it has no punch hole, which you might find beneficial if you really hate the punch hole. To me, the punch hole is not really that big of a deal, honestly. But there are 1440p displays here, but there are some essential, like, small little differences. So the S22 Ultra has one of the brightest displays, I think, currently in any smartphone right now. So it gets super bright. It's a great display. But as we can see, I'm looking at them all. They all look extremely similar. So you really can't tell the difference. They all kind of have that boxy shape. Like I said, they're all 1440p with very high PPIs. And they all look pretty good. So that is one thing that you'll notice here. Now, where will you see the difference at? So the big difference really is when it comes to the refresh rate, right? So if you just kind of back out, the Note 9 has 60 hertz, the Note 10 Plus has 60 hertz. Basically, to explain it without going in detail, when you're scrolling and swiping and stuff like that, you will immediately notice the 120 hertz on the Note 20 and S22 Ultra immediately. Now, with that being said, these phones are not slow by any means. The Note 9, even still today, is not slow by any means. But when we talk about scrolling and stuff like that, like just for instance, like Instagram, you go on Instagram, when you start scrolling, then it can become like, I don't know why it's not logged in. When you start scrolling, let's open YouTube on this one. You can feel the difference there, which is not a massive difference. Like I said, 120 hertz is not a big deal for everyone, right? Now, here is a few things that you need to know about the Note 20 Ultra's display. You can run 120 hertz and 1440p on the S22 Ultra. On the Note 20 Ultra, if you go into display, you can see it can only run 120 hertz at the 1080p resolution. So, right? But if I put it to 1440p, now watch this. You can see it put me back to 60 hertz, and I don't have the option to change. So that's one of the things about the Note 20 Ultra. Now, the question is, well, Matt, can you really tell the difference between a 1080p panel and a 1440p panel? Yes and no. You have to be like, it depends on what you're watching and how close you are to the phone. Honestly, I kind of struggled to tell the difference between the 1080p on here versus the 1440p. One thing I've noticed is that the icons look a little bit sharper, but like I said, you have to look really close up, and I think most normal people, you know, they're not gonna mind that being at full HD. And plus with full HD, you can save a little bit more battery life. So if I put this on full HD, you probably get significantly a slightly better battery life. So that's, you know, pretty interesting about the displays, but they all look really good. All big phones. The smallest being the 6.4 Note 9, and then the biggest being the Note 20 Ultra with a 6.9-inch display. But they're all great for watching content, playing games on. These are really beautiful dynamic AMOLED displays. Now let's go ahead and talk about speed on these devices. So we have the Snapdragon 845, the Snapdragon 855, the Snapdragon 865, and the new Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 processor here. So basically, all of these phones are fast. Obviously, the newest one is going to be the fastest. When I tell you that they are pretty much on par, they still feel extremely fast. All of these phones, when doing just normal basic tasks, I really do mean that. You will only see the difference in these devices really when you're gaming, and you will only see that difference with the Note 9. The rest of these phones, if you watch I'll drop a gaming test for these two devices, but if you watch the videos that I've done, these all play games on high settings. Even the Note 10 Plus, it still plays games with the exact same settings as the Note 20 and the S22, which is very impressive. And again, if you get into a little speed test here, I'm not sure if we'll see like a dramatic difference with opening applications, but let's go ahead and try. Open Subway Surf. Boom, boom, boom. So you can see the Note 9 is a little bit slower than the rest of these, right? You kind of saw that it was a little bit, I would say more of a difference between the 8 Gen 1 and the 845. You kind of seen that. But they were kind of on par with each other, right? Still really fast devices here. Let's try something else. Open YouTube. So you guys can see, very much on par with each other, guys. It's not like these devices, you know, what people don't understand about flagship devices is that they're made to be used for a very long time. They're not really made for, I think people get sort of tricked up when a new flagship comes out. Like they think their phone is going to be dramatically faster or better, and it's usually not the case. As we can see, even the oldest phone here is kind of keeping up with the newest phone. So I always think that's pretty interesting, but I do want to show you guys the gaming difference here. Now this might actually surprise you guys who don't know, but if we pick up the Note 10 Plus here and we actually look at our graphics settings, you can actually see I'm at HDR Extreme, and I'm capable of actually going up to Ultra HD here. Now, if you look at the newest, Samsung phone, I'm actually playing at the exact same settings. Nothing has changed here. So I'm at HDR Extreme. Obviously, I can go up to Ultra HD here. It still plays extremely smooth. Now, if they brought 90 frames to PUBG, then that would be a pretty big deal, because it does feel, 90 frames does feel a lot smoother than 60 hertz, especially when you're gaming. But they haven't. So 90 frames, games on this phone, it is going to look good, but overall the performance is still pretty much on par for all of your most popular games. Call of Duty, Fortnite, PUBG, they are all pretty much on par. Now, the Note 9, it plays pretty good for its price point, but as we can see, we're not able to actually go up to those max graphics. You can see HDR Ultra, I can't play at extreme settings. Now, for any normal person, I think this still plays pretty well. It's very smooth, and I don't have issues actually gaming on this phone. That's just one thing to know. If you're a serious gamer, you really don't have to get the newest Galaxy Note phones. You can easily, get the Note 10 Plus and basically get the same performance. So that's pretty much like the gist of what I wanted to explain to you guys. Now, Samsung has said that they have been improving the Stylus over the years. They've actually got it down to, I believe like 2.2 on the S22 Ultra. So let's actually see if I can feel the difference from the Note 9. Let's go ahead and just write. Still feels extremely smooth, right? Now let's go ahead and try, see if I can feel the difference there. All right, man. Oh yeah, you can feel the difference instantly. Oh yeah, you can feel that difference there. It does feel very, very smooth, which is actually kind of impressive because the Note 9 actually feels extremely smooth. So this does feel very smooth. That's pretty impressive, actually. So if you're like a digital artist, I guess, the S22 Ultra, it does feel extremely instant. I'm not even gonna lie about that one. But like I said, for the cheap, you can still do digital artwork easily on these older notes if you draw and stuff like that, or if you just want to navigate your phone with the Stylus as well too. So let's go ahead and talk about the additional features. So this will actually surprise a lot of you guys. So your additional features. So before I would talk about that, I want to talk about the software updates because that's a pretty big thing. So the S22 Ultra will have the longest software updates in any smartphone right now. 4 years of major OS updates. So launch with Android 12. So to get 4 additional, 4 years. And then you have I believe it's like 4 or 5 years of security patches. Is absolutely nuts. The Note 10 Plus actually got its last major OS update at Android 12, which is pretty interesting. So it's got 3 years of security patches and then it's done. The Note 20 Ultra, it still has, I believe, like at least one more major OS update to go, Android 13, and then it gets its 3 years of security patches. The Note 9 actually stopped at Android 10, and it's currently in its security patches stage as well. So don't let the major OS update, don't let people scare you and be like, oh, it's not getting major OS updates. Samsung is still making the device secure, and they're still pushing updates to it. You're just not going to get the next version of Android. So if I go into software updates on the Note 9, it'll actually show you I had got an update recently. As you can see, February 1st security patch. So it's actually still getting updates. It's just, it won't be a major OS update. So people get confused by that. They're like, is the phone going to be usable after? Yes, even after they stop pushing security patches, it'll still be usable. And the question is, well, what happens after security patches? It'll still be usable, right? But it won't be as safe, like say if a new virus comes out or something crazy like that. Now, I have older phones, like really older phones that are perfectly fine. It's just a lot of people, they do kind of like crazy stuff on their phones and it's easy to get viruses and stuff. So, that's the thing. But like I said, that's completely up to you. I prefer you guys to have a phone that at least has at least it's getting security patches. But let's go ahead and get into the software. So One UI really has not changed from One UI 2.5. It's changed a little bit, but the major stuff is still here. So on the Note 9, desktop support is here, NFC of course is here, Dolby Atmos, secure folders, basically everything that you have on these phones as well too. So the only thing that you have on these newer Note phones as far as the software goes that, you know, normal people would notice, right, would be the wireless power sharing mode. So basically, if I wanted to charge up my Note 20 Ultra, the Note 9 with my Note 20 Ultra or anything, I would be able to do that. I just put it on the back, and then you can see it'll just start charging. Yeah, as you can see, it'll just start charging like that. So that's one thing. So it's a feature that it's okay. Like, you can get a little bit of juice if your friend's phone is dying or whatever. But it's just an okay little feature to have, something that I really like. Also, let's talk about the biometrics. So basically, they all have the same in-display fingerprint sensor as far as I can tell. As far as the Note 10 Plus and up, it's basically the same. So they all really feel the same. They all work great. You have face unlock on here. The Note 9 does it differently. It has a fingerprint scanner, physical fingerprint scanner, which, you know, it works fine, right? It also has face unlock. No issues with that. That really is a personal preference there. Now, lastly, I want to talk about, you know, the cameras and battery life. Starting off with the cameras. Now, this is a big reason how they get people to upgrade is with these cameras, right? So a lot of the features, if you are not somebody that takes a ton of photos, you're not going to need a ton of these features. Like, you're not going to need the 100 times super mega ultra zoom that the S22 Ultra have. It's really cool to show off to people, right? But you might not like use it that often, right? But the camera image quality is still pretty good on the S22 Ultra. It takes excellent photos. You really don't see a major upgrade in terms of image quality until you get to the Note 9. Like, if I put these two cameras, you know, side by side, if you check out that video, you could immediately see the difference in detail. This phone has better zoom, it has a macro mode, it has shoots in 8K. So you can sort of see that jump. So if you're looking for a good camera jump, if you go from a Note 9 to S22 Ultra, that's a huge jump for you because you get a ton of cameras. And like on here, you get the telephoto, but there's no ultra wide. You know, you're limited on the zoom. And overall, the detail, the dark mode shots are just better on these newer phones as well too. So if you have a Note 9, you were thinking about upgrading, honestly, you can get if you go from the Note 9 to the Note 20 Ultra to the S22 Ultra, that's a massive upgrade for you. Definitely worth. I would say Note 9 from the Note 10 Plus. Image quality wise, it's a pretty decent step up, but you're not getting the 108 megapixel lens, right, that these two phones have. You're not getting all the crazy little specs and stuff like that. The Note 10 Plus is kind of in the middle. It takes good photos, better than the Note 9. Not as quite as good as these two phones, but like somewhere in the middle. It still is a really good camera setup. Alright, so I wanted to go ahead and get a little speaker test going here with max volume, Dolby Atmos. Really curious about this one. Let's start with the Note 9. Alright, so far the Note 10 Plus is louder than the Note 9. Note 9 has a really good bass. Yeah, Note 10 Plus definitely louder. And And the Note 20 Ultra sounds much better than the Note 10 Plus. It sounds more balanced with more bass. Yeah, the S22 Ultra, I'm gonna be honest here, and people might get mad. I actually think it has the worst speaker out of all of these phones. I actually think it has the worst speaker. It sounds pretty kind of on par with the Note 9, but the Note 9 sounds like it's got more bass. It just sounds flat to me. Alright guys, I do want to talk about the battery life because we did a battery drain test, and I'll do one for the Note 20 Ultra and the Note 9 as well too. But what was interesting is that the Note 10 Plus basically had the same battery life as the S22 Ultra. And so I'm assuming the Note 20 Ultra is going to be basically somewhere around that as well too. So as far as battery life, honestly, if you're coming from a Note 10 Plus, you're not going to see a big battery upgrade, even though these phones have bigger battery lights. It's because, you know, they're running 120 hertz and all that stuff. So you're not going to see that massive upgrade unless Samsung increases the battery size, you know, dramatically. The Note 9, you definitely will see a pretty good battery jump if you come from the Note 9. Really, for any of these phones, the way I use the Note 9, it seems like it drains faster than all of these phones. So that's definitely a good upgrade for you. So if you have a Note 9, you know, a lot of people have been asking me, should you upgrade? Yes, you could upgrade to the Note 10 Plus and be perfectly happy. And especially the Note 10 Plus is pretty cheap. Or if you really want all the bells and whistles, you can get the Note 20 Ultra since it has the SD card support still, which a lot of you guys have told me that you really need. The S22 Ultra is honestly, if you don't care about the SD card support, right? And you just want a super nice display and the latest chip and the fancy cameras, then yes, go for it if you got the money. But yeah, the Note 9 definitely, if you got the money, I think it's a really good deal to get, you know, any of these three phones here. So be sure to let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.